Recorded Books presents By Any Means by J.C. Ryan. Narrated by Dan John Miller. Prologue. Saturday, a visitation day at Taconic Correctional Facility. Not one of the days that her friend Reagan St. Clair was coming to visit her, which was both a good and bad thing. A good thing, because it meant she would be able to conduct her business without Reagan getting in the way or being any wiser about it. A bad thing, because the business Jessie Bell had decided to get into was bad. Reagan would never approve. The fact that Reagan St. Clair hadn't come to stop her, Jessie took as a good omen. The guard brought her into the visitation room and unlocked her handcuffs. The guards around the edge of the room looked at Jessie, then at her guard, then back to Jessie. She wandered over to an empty table along the powder blue cinder block wall and sat down with her back to it, and waited. Her visitor had not yet arrived. The room had that smell, lemon pine cleaner over the top of decades of ground-in despair. To Jessie, that was all the worse for not being able to smell it. If you couldn't smell the stinks of a prison anymore, it meant your brain had accepted that you belonged there. The visitation area wasn't as packed as usual. The balmy May weather meant families chose the outdoors, a park or the beach, above a visit to their mamas, aunts, grandmas, sisters, and daughters in the prison. There were at least 2 empty tables between hers and any other occupied table in the room. The guards all had a clear line of sight to her, which was exactly how she liked it. She was going to do her business in plain sight, so that she couldn't be accused of anything, whether she had actually done it or not. The people who had shown up for visitation mostly fit the profile of loved ones of recent arrivals, the ones who hadn't yet been deadened to the mind-numbing situation. They had big, artificial smiles on their faces and dragged along kids who still knew how to laugh and cry. Others fit the profile of loved ones who were there to smuggle drugs to the prisoners. They had better clothes, for one thing, and eyes that fastened onto the guards like magnets onto a fridge. They were amateurs, though. The professionals had long since learned that the best way to get anything in or out of the system involved making friends with a guard or a worker bee, preferably while the 2 of you were out of sight of anyone else. No major handoffs would be coming through the visitors' room. Not today. And then there was Jessie's visitor. She had written Jessie a letter claiming to be her great-aunt, her Grandma Marty's sister, Evelyn. She'd asked for a visit today, if that wouldn't be too much of a hassle. She'd get her best friend's son, Larry, to drive her up to the facility. The thing was, Grandma Marty didn't have any sisters. Maybe it was time she had, well, at least one. Why not? So, she'd sent back a reply saying yes, she'd been missing Grandma Marty a lot lately, had been praying for her up in heaven, and would love to see Aunt Evelyn, even if she wouldn't be allowed to bring her wonderful lemon cake into the prison, in case she tried to smuggle in a key, a saw blade, knife, or worse. Ha-ha. The operative word in the letter was Larry. Lawrence Del Rey. He was an estate lawyer she'd met with a couple of times, but not to talk about estates. He'd come to her with a job offer. Sign up to work for us, and we'll get you out of there. They did not provide the details of their plan to accomplish this, except to confirm that it wouldn't be a prison break. When she was out, there would be no dogs on her heels tracking her down. Her freedom didn't mean she would be entirely free, but it wouldn't have the bad kinds of strings attached. And the work they wanted her to do? Certainly not the paralegal crap she'd been doing before she'd been sent to prison. No. They wanted her to take up a managerial position, running a section of their organization, the part covering the city. Their previous manager had passed away recently, and they were currently in the recruitment process. If, Mr. Del Rey had said, you were not chosen for the position, he hinted there was another strong candidate who had been offered the role, but who had reservations. We would certainly find something interesting for you to do. The world was her oyster. The check was in the mail, etc., etc. She'd believe it when she saw it. It was a bunch of goddamned drug runners, that's what it was, and they wanted her to organize
Sample complete. Ready to continue?